Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to Season 18 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. Tonight, here to crown a champion for season number 18, our final run with these NASCAR race trucks, at least for the time being here in the ASRC Oval Series. Because, of course, as it's been announced, next season we will be not only switching to the new current gen ARCA car for season number 19, but we will also be running full-length ARCA races next season. So a little bit longer than what these drivers are used to doing here. And this race is going to be coming in here at 150 laps rather than the standard 100 that ASRC is known to be doing. So in a sense, this championship race is kind of a little bit of preparation for these drivers to get used to the race instances that they will be running in season number 19. Opened up back in 1953, though, this track is the track home of the Snowball Derby, one of the biggest late model races in the eastern half of the United States. But we're not running late models here, we're running NASCAR trucks here, and that's bound to be a fun one. Sixth time the league has come to this track. We've had no, that's backwards. We've had 4 winners in 5 different races, not 5 winners in 4 races. I'd hope we wouldn't have a race with 2 winners. That would be a little scary. But those drivers are Chase Johnson, League Administrator Jason Gardner, Travis Sukup, and our 1-2-time winner at this track, Tyler McRae. And of course, like I said earlier, 150 laps rather than the usual 100 here tonight. This is going to be the first time that the ASRC Oval Series has run 150 laps on a short track. So going to be a little bit of a test of endurance for these truck drivers, going a little bit further than what they're used to here tonight. But I think it's bound to be a fun one, and tonight we will be crowning a champion, so that just makes it that much more exciting here. That said, drivers are making their way down to the starting grid, so how about we take a look down at our starting lineup here for tonight. Starting out on the pole here in the number 12 machine, that is going to be none other than our current championship points leader and possibly mathematic points champion already. I'm not 100% sure, but he's coming into tonight's event with a 22-point advantage over Brian Sabelski and 5 wins to his name here this season. That is going to be Mr. Garrett Hess. Starting to his outside, though, that is going to be the 188 of Joshua Rudolph, routing in the Rowdy Energy truck here this season. Run a new paint scheme for that driver here tonight. Then back in third, it's going to be the number 85 of Brian Sabelski, the current runner-up in the championship point standings here tonight, 22 points back from Garrett Hess. He's going to be going to try and see if he can't take home win number 3 here tonight. Then back and forth, it's going to be the number 93 of Jason Gardner, league administrator, and the only driver in the field who has taken home a win at this track already so far here in ASRC league history. Then back in 5th in the CC Robotics entry, that's going to be the number 24 driver out of Noonan, Georgia. That's going to be none other than Corey Logan. Back in 6th for the Fried Chickens Motorsport number 712 entry, that's going to be John Atkins. Followed by the number 27 of Mark Kluge, all the way back in 7th in the Sargento entry. Back in 8th, that's going to be the number 7 Save Our Seas Foundation entry, the driver out of Orlando, Florida. That's going to be Kevin Alicia. Then back in 9th, we've got Mr. Johnny Bell in the Dirt TV entry with Daniel Sparks in the Cheesies number 4 back in the 10th position. Then back in 11th, we have Michael Sparks, the other half of the 2 Mooselanders here tonight in the Moosehead Logger entry back in 11th, with Derek Murphy in the Treehouse Brewing Company number 78, rounding out the tail end of the field. That said, already green flag up the air. Just like that, we are racing here at the Five Flags Speedway. And immediately we have contact, and I believe immediately the caution flag is out. Sure enough, yes it is, and it sounds like the issue is for John Atkins, it looks like, in the 712 machine, and it looks a little bit beat up on the front end of that truck there. Very hectic start to this one, so let's see if we can't take it back and break down what happened here on this restart. Of course, looking down at the 712 of John Atkins here on the outside of the 24 of Corey Logan. Seems good head down into turn number 1, and oh, there's the 24, and it looks like a little bit of net code there. Might have been the cause between the contact between the two of them, but big send down into turn number 1 here this evening. So, you know, look back, we're going to ride on board here with Corey Logan, see what they saw here on this restart in that CZ Robotics entry, sending it down into turn number 1. Definitely drifted up the track there a little bit, but it also definitely looks like netcode was involved there. So that's going to be what brings out caution flag number 1. Mark Kluge going to come down pit lane, get a look done at his truck. And Jason Gardner, interestingly enough, is being scored a lap down here. 2 laps. Okay, now it's... Okay. So he is being scored 1 lap down here in that number 93 machine. Not sure what caused that. And it looks like he's being sent to the tail end of the field here in that 93 machine. So yeah, definitely somehow he ended up a lap down. He wasn't involved in that incident at all, from what I can tell. And I'm almost positive that he was there at the beginning of the formation lap. Let's real quick look back and make sure that he made it to the grid. Yeah, sure enough, he is right there. The formation lap starts. And the truck just doesn't go. So maybe some sort of mechanical failure for the number 93 on the initial start of the race here. They've got it rolling now, though. He's got it out on the track, but he is being scored a lap down here. That said, though, we're about to go green flag racing once again. Going to be doing it single file here since we did not get a single lap of competition in the books. But let's try this thing again. Green flag up in the air here at the 5 Flag Speedway. Garrett Hess leading the field down into turn number 1. This time around, looks like we are all going to make it into the first corner pretty cleanly here. Getting a little bit spread out on the initial start, but that is the joy of single file restarts. Make sure that we can get some green flag racing in the books. And again, considering that this is 150 laps rather than the usual just 100 here, definitely makes sense that we want to get things running under the green flag. At least get a little bit of green flag racing in here. Right now, Garrett Hess leading over Brian Sabelski by almost a full second for first and second. Then it's another 1.5 seconds back to Joshua Rudolph in the 188. And that's where things start to get racy here, is from 4th on back to probably about 6th here. Corey Logan, Kevin Alessia, Daniel Sparks, Johnny Bell, all in pretty close contention to each other, and they're actually catching up to Joshua Rudolph here as well. Daniel Sparks getting loose coming out of the corner, trying to get the nose in on that 7 of Kevin Alessia. He gets the nose in, coming through turns 3 and 4. Will he be able to make it stick? Looks like the answer is yes, he will. That's going to move Daniel Sparks up to the 5th position, already up +5 from where he qualified just in the early goings of this one. Only 10 laps in the books here. Still a long way left to go here tonight. And right now, these 3 trucks that we're spectating here are the 3 closest drivers on the speedway. Corey Logan, Joshua Rudolph, Daniel Sparks. All under a bubble here. Call it about 0.2 of a second between each of them. Coming across the line there, it was a 17.46 for Rudolph, a 17.4 for Corey Logan, a 17.31 for Daniel Sparks. So Sparks the fastest of the 3 there. But we will see how these lap times work out for him in the longer run here, because I imagine now that we've gotten everyone spread out, this should probably be a pretty decently long green flag run if I had to imagine. Of course, lucky dogs are a thing, so maybe Jason Gardner will get lucky with the caution and get put back up on the lead lap here as Daniel Sparks makes the move down on the inside of Corey Logan in that Cheesy's number 4. That's going to make him up +6 here this evening since the drop of the green flag. Big moves for that number 4 machine here in the early goings of it. Now Sparks trying to make the move on the outside. At least he thought about it. Closing in on the back bumper of that 188 machine. Trying to go high, trying to go low, trying to go high, and now it looks like the low line is for sure where he wants to be. He's going to get around Joshua Rudolph. Now Daniel Sparks finds himself in the 3rd position. Up now +7 since the drop of the green flag. Only 17 laps in the books here. Side by side, just behind before Logan and Rudolph. Rudolph goes way up the track in that Rowdy Energy machine. That's going to allow Corey Logan around him. Now Kevin Alessia is coming into the picture here as well in that Save RC's number 7 machine. Kevin coming into tonight's event being scored back in the 8th position in the championship standings, 4 points ahead of Johnny Bell, 25 points behind Derek Murphy. So all in all, a pretty solid run here for this rookie driver. Of course, made their debut with the league here this season, aside from a single race in the mini stock at the very, very end of season number 17. The first season of full-time competition for this driver, fairly new to the iRacing.com platform itself. And all in all, he's had a pretty decent amount of speed here this season. And I'd imagine next season we might see this driver be contending, possibly even up for top 5s. Things definitely starting to single file out around the speedway here as we take a look, zoom out here just a bit. I say that we have a driver around, caution flag is out. That's what I get for saying something about the field being spread out. Not anymore. Corey Logan going to be the driver around that brings out this second caution, and that should put Jason Gardner back on the lead lap and have all 12 cars in tonight's event running on the lead lap again. Let's take a look back here, see what happened to the CZ Robotics number 24. Sure enough, just a little bit loose out of the corner, and that's kind of all she wrote. Not a whole lot going on there. But we've seen it happen time and time again in these race trucks. They like to have the rear end slide out from under them on corner exit. And it feels like it's always on turn number 4. It's very rare that we see drivers slide out of turn number 2 at any track. Like, this isn't just like a Five Flags thing. It feels like at any track we go to, it feels like this is a fairly common occurrence for these drivers. It's always coming out turn number 4. And it's always the rear tires just sliding out from behind them. So now we're going to bunch things back up and try this thing again. Only 24 laps officially completed here in tonight's 150 lap event. Of course, if need be, there's also always the option for a little bit of overtime. So we'll see how things go here tonight for that. Right now, Garrett Hess has led every single lap here this evening, and right now is also the only driver to have set a sub 17-second lap time here tonight. 16.99 for Garrett Hess. The next fastest is the driver that's been running in second, Brian Zabelski, a 17:02. The next lowest time, all the way back to Daniel Sparks with a 17.17. Everyone else is above the 17.2 range. Lights out on the iRacing.com safety truck, though, so we're going to stack them up 2 by 2 and go green flag racing next time by. Garrett Hess, Brian Sabelski leading the field to green here, and all truckers are back on the lead lap here for this restart. And just like that, green flag back in the air here at the Five Flags Speedway. A really good start here for Garrett Hess as he starts to pull away from the field just like that. All bunched up all the way back in the back here, 2 by 2. Kevin Alessia checking up just a little bit here in this middle part of the pack. It looks like we are going to make it through this first lap on the restart. Taking a closer look down at the track, Daniel Sparks trying to hold off Joshua Rudolph back there. And he's going to be able to do it. Rudolph looks like he got a little bit loose out of the corner in that 188 machine. Not quite able to make the move stick. But he is trying to get that spot back after after Sparks sticked away on that longer run we had there. But they're single filing out up there at the front, so Might have to sell into a rhythm here, try and make that spot back here a little bit later on. Further back though, 2x2 for Michael Sparks and Kevin Alessia. Sparks up +4 from where he qualified in that number 42 Moosehead Logger entry. Bit of a quiet night here for that 42 machine, but great to see him making some moves up in the world here. Coming into tonight's event, that 42 truck was scored in the 13th position in the championship standings. He's 8 points back from John Atkins. And Atkins is only 4 points back from Corey Logan for 12th and 11th respectively in the point standings here. So still some battles around the field in terms of the point standings, even if the championship itself has pretty much kind of been decided here. As we have drivers scraping against the wall back there. Not quite sure who that was, but that was quite the loud scrape there. Not immediately seeing any damage to any of these race trucks though, so I'm not quite sure which driver that was that got into the outside wall. Everyone seems to be looking okay here as Corey Logan starts to catch up to Jason Gardner. Jason down -6 from where he qualified, but of course that was due to the unfortunate mechanical error at the start of the race. Now he's back up on the lead lap. He is starting to make some moves back towards the front slowly but surely. He is setting down some fast lap times. A 17.23 is best right now. The driver of Mark Kluge, best lap of 17.38. John Atkins a 17.42. So Gardner's fastest lap is faster than everyone in front of him, all the way up to Daniel Sparks in third. So I think Jason, as long as he settles into a rhythm here and doesn't get too aggressive with pushing those tires, I think we'll see him rise his way back up through the lakes here as we go into this longer green flag run. He gets around Corey Logan, gets around Mark Kluge. Now he's looking to see, can he catch up to John Atkins in that 712 machine? A full second up the road from him here. Side by side just behind between Murphy and Kluge though. Both running in orange trucks here tonight. Of course, Murphy been sponsored by the Treehouse Brewing Company all this season, but running a different paint scheme for a different one of their drinks every race here this season. But definitely cool to see the variety of colors out there on that 78 machine. Looking around the field, things are starting to single file out here just a little bit. Right now, the closest battle on the track is between Kevin Alessia and Johnny Bell for the 5th position here. Michael Sparks not too far back either, but he's getting loose down in the inside wall. And it looks like some pretty heavy damage to the left front of that 42 machine, so we might see some steering issues on this truck. He's going up high, and that's going to allow Jason Gardner to sail down to the inside of him. Definitely looks like he might be a bit off that pace with how the left front is bent in like that. That bodywork definitely not looking how it's supposed to. He's going to lose another spot to Derek Murphy. And now Mark Kluge closing in behind him here as well. We might just be seeing that 42 truck trying to keep it up high, let everyone get past him so he can get down to pit lanes safely here. The last time by, it was a 19:16. Everyone else on the field is setting 17.4 to 17.5 second laps. And sure enough, just like that, Michael Sparks has pulled on down to pit lane, so they're going to get that truck looked at, and hopefully they'll be able to bring it back out onto the field here this evening. I will definitely be putting that 42 machine at least a lap down, though, likely a couple laps here, depending on how long it takes to get that damage fixed. Now looking down at the 712 machine of John Atkins as he tries to fend off Jason Gardner and Corey Logan. It's like I was saying, Jason setting some of the fastest lap times on the track here, faster than everyone, all the way up to the 3rd place of Daniel Sparks. So with some patience and with the right moves, this 93 machine should be able to get some spots up. But we have a driver around. That's Mark Kluge slow on the front straightaway. Green flag still up in the air as he tries to get this truck rolling again. That's going to be putting him a lap down. Let's really quick take a look back here and see what happened to him. We are still, again, under the green flag right now. Yeah, the 27 of Mark Kluge that was in the 11th position at the time of this happening. And same deal as both of the other incidents we've seen so far, just having the rear tires slide out of them coming out of turn number 4. But fortunately, no damage to that truck, and we are still able to keep a green flag racing here tonight. He is now a lap down, though, so that makes 2 drivers now no longer on the lead lap. Michael Sparks down on pit lane, getting that truck looked at, and then Mark Kluge from that little bit of a spin. As we take a zoomed out look around the field here, you can see how things have gone a little bit spread out around the track here. Right now, the closest battle on the speedway seems to be between Corey Logan and Jason Gardner here, about half a second dividing the 2 of these trucks. Jason working his way up to 7th, Corey back in 8th. Both of these drivers were 6 spots down from where they qualified only about 3 laps ago, and now both of them are down to only being 3 laps behind where they qualified. So both of these drivers slowly but surely pushing their way through the field and rising their way up the ranks here. As our race leader Garrett Hess comes across the line, we are officially 50 laps in the books, 1/3 of the way through tonight's event. Now just 100 more laps to go here at the Five Flags Speedway. Of course, at least that's under the assumption that we don't have overtime, which is always a possibility here, always something to keep in the back of your mind. Something could go wrong here, and in the ASRC Oval Series, it seems like with the unpredictable nature of racing, sometimes things go wrong for someone more often than they don't, so we will just have to see how things play out for them here. Right now, Garrett Hess still having led every single lap of tonight's event here. More or less uncontested. Brian Sabelski is about a second back here in that Mikoni setup shop number 85 machine. He is the fastest truck on the speedway behind Garrett Hess. Both of them in a little bit of a league of their own. Again, Garrett Hess's best lap time is 16.99. Brian Sabelski a 17.02. Daniel Sparks a 17.16. Everyone else in the 17.2 range and beyond in terms of their fastest personal lap here this evening. That said, how about we take a ride on board with our race leader and see what it's like to take these trucks around this half-mile short track. Garrett Hess turning laps around this speedway like it's just a regular old Sunday drive. Not a care in the world for our race leader. He has led every single lap uncontested. He's now put it up to a 1.5 second lead over Brian Sabelski. A little bit further back, Joshua Rudolph getting some pressure from behind, or excuse me, Daniel Sparks getting the pressure from Joshua Rudolph here in that 188 machine. This is the battle for the 3rd position between the 2 of them. And once again, I say something about these drivers having a nice casual evening drive. And the caution flag comes out. We bunch things back up once again. And it's going to be for the 27 of Mark Kluge here. Definitely does look like he has maybe a little bit of front end damage from impact with the inside wall there. Nothing too drastic, at least here from the time being. We will have to see. We are getting word that our race leaders are all coming down pit lane. Garrett Hess comes down. Brian Zabelski comes down. Daniel Sparks comes down. Do we have any other takers along with them? No, it's just your top 3 drivers that are electing to come down pit lane. Everyone else in the field is electing to stay out. That is quite the strategy call to see out of these drivers here. And Sabelski is going to be the driver that wins the battle off of pit lane here out of this group. Hess now making his way out. Same with Sparks. Sabelski a 4-second stop in his box. A 16.85 for Hess. A 14.28 for Sparks. Now we have 2 more takers. Corey Logan and Mark Kluge both come down, it looks like. We'll see how this stop looks here for Logan. Definitely putting tires on that truck as well. So I think the call for Sabelski was no tires, just fuel in that number 85 machine. Definitely interesting to see. But that still leaves us with 5 drivers that have not made any sort of trip down to pit lane here at all. Technically 6. Jason Gardner's trip down to pit lane wasn't to get his car serviced. It was for that mechanical issue at the start of the race prior to the green flag. But everyone else, Rudolph, Bell, Alicia, technically Gardner, Murphy, and Atkins have not come down pit lane. And then, of course, Sabelski came down. Fuel only stopped for that 85. Everyone behind Sabelski here looks like they have fresh tires on their race truck. So we'll see how things go here. Getting ready to come back to the green. Joshua Rudolph and Johnny Bell leading the field to green. And the green flag is back up in the air. And it looks like the tires, at first glance, aren't all that crazy of a difference. Joshua Rudolph pulling away from the field here. Johnny Bell, Jason Gardner back in second. We are nearly 3 wide here. Back in the mid-pack, though. Murphy down on the bottom. Garrett Hess up on the high line. He is pushing. I lied. These tires did make a difference. Hess is absolutely sailing by these drivers up on the high line. What a show here by that number 12 machine. How is Sabelski faring in that 85? Not so great here. Roughly on the same pace as all of these other truckers, but he is not just sailing away into the sunset like Garrett Hess seems to be doing here. He's gotten all the way back up to the 4th position now. Moving on up in the world, closing in on Jason Gardner and Johnny Bell here. As we zoom it out just a little bit, things starting to single file out around the field, but definitely very close battling still all around. Garrett Hess gets around Jason Gardner though, just like that. Now he continues his tear to try and get around that 13 machine of Johnny Bell. Going for the move on the outside this time around, and it looks like it is going to stick. Not quite clear yet, but it goes down to turn 3 and 4, and it looks like the outside line will prevail for that 12 machine of Garrett Hess. What a rocket ship he has out here on the speedway. Mark Kluge coming back out on the track after he got some damage serviced from that incident. Which reminds me, we do need to see a replay of what brought out that caution flag, and we will take a look back there in just a moment once we catch a break from the action. But here is Joshua Rudolph and Garrett Hess battling it out for the race lead here. Rudolph has not taken tires. Hess has, and sure enough, Hess pulls up alongside. He's going to clear that 188 machine down the front straightaway. Once again, Garrett Hess, your new race leader, as we are officially halfway through tonight's event, just like that. A little bit further back, we have battles going on around the field still here. Daniel Sparks trying to make the move on the 188 of Joshua Rudolph. Sparks, another driver that took tires under that caution. So it definitely seems like the tires really do make a pretty substantial difference, even on the short run. We'll see how things go for them as we get in a longer stretch of things. I would imagine that slowly they will start to even out here and lose some of this advantage that they have. Jason Gardner back here still battling it out together with Johnny Bell. They've both fallen back to 4th and 5th respectively. Johnny up +5 from where he started. Jason Gardner down -1. Corey Logan just behind, also down -1 from where he qualified. But still improvements all around for these 3 drivers running from 4th on back to 6th. At least from where they were about 25-30 laps ago. Garrett Hess once again pulling away from the field here, though, over a second lead for Daniel Sparks. Daniel Sparks another second lead over Rudolph. Rudolph has a second lead over Bell. And then that's where the battling is actually going on here. Speaking of battling, Jason Gardner trying to make moves on the outside of Corey Logan. Not quite able to make it stick, though. That's going to allow Logan to get up to 5th. Now Corey Logan is trying to make moves on that 13 of Johnny Bell. It is important to remember that Corey did pit under the yellow. Corey also put new tires on that 24 machine, so that is part of where the speed difference is coming from, is the difference in pit strategy between these drivers. So that's going to allow Corey to get up alongside the 13 of Johnny Bell here. And not quite clearing across the front straightaway, but going down in turns 1 and 2, that is going to allow Corey Logan to move on up to the 4th position. So now Corey is up in the positive. Up plus run from where they qualified here this evening. Johnny Bell and Jason Gardner still battling it out for 5th and 6th. And a little bit further back, Brian Zabelski and Kevin Alessia are side by side. Kevin getting a little bit loose coming off of turn number 4. He's drifting up the track, going down into turns 1 and 2 here. Giving that plus run from where he qualified. Brian down -5. Of course, Brian had been running hot on the heels of Garrett Hess for most of this race, but he elected not to take tires on the pit stop. And now just kind of running back in the back, biding in his time. I would imagine if we see another caution come out with maybe 40, 30 to go, I think we might see Sabelski take tires, and I think we might just see that 85 blow past the field in the same manner that we saw Garrett Hess and Daniel Sparks do on that initial restart. And watch out, big wiggle for Kevin Alessia, nearly got hooked by the back of the 85 of Brian Zabelski. He had to check up to keep that truck from snapping out from under him. So fortunately, he was able to save it, but that's going to cost him a couple of spots. He loses this ground to Brian Zabelski. Mark Kluge gets past, but Kluge is not on the lead lap right now, so that wasn't a position lost. But now Derek Murphy is getting ready to make the move on that 7 machine here as well. That would bump Kevin Alessia all the way back to the 9th position here. And he goes a little bit wide coming out of turn number 4. That's going to allow Derek Murphy to get the nose down on the inside and pulling up alongside. Sure enough, Derek Murphy side by side down the back straightaway has the advantage going into turns 3 and 4. Still not able to clear that 7 machine, though. I say that. Kevin scrapes against the outside wall. That's going to move him back to the 9th position there, just like that. Still back in 5th. The battle between Jason Gardner and Johnny Bell rages on. Jason in that Good Wrench number 93. Johnny Bell in the Dirt TV number 13 machine, excuse me. Normally we see him out here in the 27 for most of the time that I have been a member of ASRC. He has been running in the 27, so it's just habitual for me to say that Johnny Bell is the driver of the number 27 machine, but that is not the case anymore. He is in the 13 here this season, and somehow I keep forgetting that. Nearly contact there between Bell and Gardner, though, which is a little bit awkward because both of them are league administrators here for ASRC. It'd be very unfortunate if they both took each other out of the race. So Jason going to back off just a little bit. He knows that fact might be a little bit unfortunate, so he's going to give Johnny a little bit of room here. It's still the closest battle on the speedway, about 0.4 of a second between the two of them here. We'll see how their lap times look as they come across the line here. An 18:03 for Johnny Bell, a 17:92 for Jason Gardner. So Gardner just a little bit faster there this time by. Gardner's best lap time, also about 7 thousandths faster than Johnny Bell. But still, generally, very equally matched with each other in terms of pace between these two drivers. Up at the front, Garrett Hess continues to steal the show. He's pulled it up to a 3.2 second lead over Daniel Sparks. Daniel Sparks has a 5.3 second lead over Corey Logan right now. And Corey has a bit of a gap themselves, too. Corey, about a 2-second gap over Rudolph. So once again, once we get into this green flag run, the field really starts to just kind of spread out here just a little bit. We will take this opportunity, though, since we have a little bit of room to breathe, to take a look back at what brought out the caution back on lap number 62. And it was for Mark Kluge in that Sargento entry. And once again, the same deal. The rear tires just slide out from underneath that 27 machine, and he ends up in the inside wall. Damage not as bad as I thought, though. Though he does have that going for them. I thought that that was a worse impact to the inside wall than it actually ended up being. But that is what brought out the caution about 30 laps prior to now. And unfortunately, able to get that replay up on screen. So now I know for sure what happened. Jason Gardner starting to catch up to that 13 machine, though. He's putting the pressure on him. He sees Brian Sabelski in his mirror. He knows Sabelski is mighty dang fast, and he's going, okay, let's maybe start speeding things up along here. Let's maybe start getting out of save mode, start going into push mode, and try and make some gap, some space between these drivers behind him, because Sabelski, Murphy, Alicia, Atkins are all starting to catch up to them, and Jason does not like that. Last thing you want is to be in the hornet's nest in the final 50 laps here at tonight's event. But coming across the line here, Garrett Hess has officially put us 100 laps in the books. Going to be 50 laps left to go here at the Five Flags Speedway. Tell you what, these drivers have been clicking off these laps pretty dang quickly. I mean, 150 laps sounds like a big deal, but when these laps are only 17 seconds, I mean, they really go by quicker than you think. Oh, big wiggle coming out of turn number 2 for Johnny Bell. That's going to allow Jason to think about making the move on the high side. Jason goes, nah, I don't like the high line. Gonna try the crossover, try to get back down to the bottom, but Johnny locks it down. Not going to work here. Sabelski now is a picture in this battle, however. Now we see Gardner trying to make the lunge down the inside. Johnny goes up high. That's going to allow Gardner to clear, but Gardner gets loose coming off of turn number 4, so he's going to lose all that momentum he had. Drifts up just a tiny little bit. Nearly contact with the 13 machine, but doesn't make contact. Tries to clear up, but Johnny is still just barely there, but now the 93 is clear. Now we see Sabelski following him through the gap that has been punched. And there's our race leader, by the way, Garrett Hess here. Race leader. Trying to put all of these truckers a lap down, but it ain't going to happen because the caution flag is out for Derek Murphy. Derek Murphy around in the Treehouse Brewing Company number 78. I'll tell you what, Brian Sabelski, Jason Gardner just let out a huge sigh of relief, because literally only 1 or 2 more laps and both of them would have gone a lap down. Let's real quick take a look back down here at what happened to this caution, and then we'll see if we got any drama on the pit stops. Derek Murphy suffering the curse that we have seen so many other drivers have here tonight. Pushing a little bit too hard coming out of turn number 4. The rear tire is just sliding out from underneath him. So that'll be what brings out caution flag number 4. Who are we taking down on pit lane? Rudolph comes down. John Atkins comes down. Who else do we got here? Johnny Bell comes down. Joshua Rudolph comes down. Sabelski, however, elects to stay out. He seems committed to the no-tire strategy. Either that or he's expecting more cautions here in these final 40 laps, and he might be saving those tires for a Hail Mary closer to the very end of the race. But down on pit lane, looks like it is going to be a call for tires for all of these takers on pit lane. Now we see Sabelski come down second time around. Same with Kevin Alicia, also changing his mind. He's going to come down pit lane here as well. That should also give us a lucky dog driver. I believe that that is going to be John Atkins getting the lucky dog here, and he should get put back on the lead lap. And sure enough, Sabelski is fitting new tires on that 85 machine. It looks like 4 new tires at that for the 85. Very interesting to see. Alicia, roughly a similar pit stop time, so it looks like probably the same pit strategy for that 7 machine here as well. Already, though, lights are out on the iRacing pace truck. That just goes to show how quickly these cautions go by here at this little track. So when we come across the line, it's going to be 109 laps officially complete. Not 141. Just 41 laps to go when we take the green. Garrett Hess, Daniel Sparks going to be leading the field to green. And an interesting tidbit here to note, Daniel Sparks has now also broken the 17-second lap barrier. He and Garrett Hess are tied for fastest lap here this evening. Green flag back up in the air. And looking around the field, looks like so far so good. No drama down in turns 1 and 2. Garrett Hess leads the field down into 3 and 4, but Daniel Sparks ain't all that far behind. Bit of a cluster of drivers here coming across the line for 3rd on back here through 5th. And Jason Gardner falling back here just a little bit as Brian Sabelski starts to make some moves. I think we're going to see exactly what I thought was going to happen. Sabelski got those new tires fitted. He's probably about to sail up through the field the same manner we saw Garrett Hess and Daniel Sparks do during probably around the lap 60 caution, I believe, is when they both came down. Yes, it was. The lap 64 caution is when Hess and Sparks put on their new tires. So call it about, really just about a 60 lap tire deficit between Sabelski. Oh, big wiggle for the 85. Hangs onto it though, now getting around that number 24 of Corey Logan as Johnny Bell pushes back against Jason Gardner. Jason had just made the move around him prior to the caution flag coming out. Now Johnny Bell is going to have the advantage here on that number 93 machine. And Kevin Alicia following through. No, not Kevin Alicia. Who is that down the inside? That is the 712 John Atkins, actually. And Atkins is still a lap down, so I was mistaken on that part. He did not get put back on the lead lap. He just got given 1 lap back, it looks like. Sabelski, though, definitely the trucker to be keeping an eye on, though. Both him and Joshua Rudolph took tires under this caution. So him and Rudolph both have, again, about a 50 to 60 lap tire advantage over our 2 race leaders of Daniel Sparks and Garrett Hess. The question is the new tire advantage going to play out for them as Daniel Sparks is a little bit loose coming out of turn number 4? They're trying to split the difference here around Sparks now, or around Rudolph. But now we see Sabelski sail around both of them. Sabelski up to 2nd place. And it is a hornet's nest here for 2nd on back to 4th. But will Sabelski be able to catch our race leader of Garrett Hess? That is the big question here. We'll see how the lap times look when we come across the line now that Sabelski has some clean air to play with. Coming across the line, a 17.49 for Garrett Hess, a 17.09 for Brian Sabelski, and oh lord, he is catching that 12 machine mighty fast here. But here comes Joshua Rudolph. He is not out of the picture here either. It is neck and neck here for these 3 race leaders. And now Garrett Hess has to play a bit of the defense game here. He has the tire deficit over Sabelski and Rudolph. A little bit of a wiggle there for Hess. He's going to move up to the high line. That's going to allow Sabelski to put the nose down to the inside. And he's going to get there side by side with Hess. Doesn't quite clear him into turns 3 and 4, but coming out of 4 looks like he is. For the first time here tonight, someone other than Garrett Hess will have led at least 1 lap. Well, that's a lie, aside from the pit cycle. But this is the first time someone other than Garrett Hess has really led any laps under the green flag right now. And Sabelski is just sailing away as Rudolph pushes that truck with everything he's got, trying to get around Garrett Hess as well. Of course, Hess, 5 wins to his name here this season, more than any other driver by a substantial margin. I believe the next highest amount is only 2 wins for Sabelski, I believe. Let me double check that. Yep, 2 wins for Sabelski, 2 wins for Daniel Sparks, 2 wins for Garrett Streets, 5 wins for Garrett Hess. So everyone in the field here, like, if they see an opportunity to pass the 12 machine, they're going to take it, because really there's not been a lot of races here this season, not a lot of opportunities for drivers to say that they are able to overtake Garrett Hess. A little bit further back, Daniel Sparks battling it out here with Kevin Alessia here. This is the battle for 4th. Johnny Bell involved in this battle as well, and looks like Daniel got a little bit loose, has fallen back a bit to that 7 machine. Corey Logan in this battle here as well. Excuse me, no, that again, that's the 712 machine of John Atkins that's not on the lead lap. He's just kind of running laps, hoping the caution flag comes out so he can get the lucky dog and be put back on the lead lap. Right now, not involved in this actual battle. Side by side for Bell and Sparks, though. Bell on the bottom, Sparks on the high line. It looks like Sparks, it looked like he got a little bit of a wiggle come through turn number 4, but still neck and neck with Johnny Bell here. Now he's starting to fall back just a little bit. Will Johnny move up to clear him? No, he will not. Still side by side between these 2 truckers. 22 laps left to go. And we might have had trouble for Michael Sparks. He's now down on pit lane, and it sounds like he took the tow truck down there. So let's really quickly see what happened to Michael Sparks. Loose coming out of turn number 2, ends up in the infield grass, takes the tow to pit lane. No caution flag on the speedway, but that's what happened to Michael Sparks there. Now looking down at the battle between Jason Gardner and Corey Logan here for the 7th position. Corey is getting pretty close there to that number 93 machine. Just behind is Derek Murphy, who is 2 laps down right now, unfortunately, so not involved in this battle between these 2 drivers. These are the 2 drivers still on the lead lap in this 93 and 24 machine, respectively. With 19 laps left to go, though, there's not a whole lot of time left to be making any sort of mistakes. You really got to push with everything you've got, and really, as long as you're not spinning or you're not hitting the wall, you're pretty much good to go here. Sabelski holding the lead at about 3/4 of a second over Joshua Rudolph. And Rudolph has a 3.5 second lead over Garrett Hess right now. And the driver in 4th, Kevin Alessia. You know, I was talking about him potentially vying for top 5s next season after his solid rookie run here this season. But you know what? He might be vying for top 5s here tonight. Looking at the lap times, we'll see how they shake up coming across the line here. Going across the line, a 17.72 for Garrett Hess, a 17.5 for Alessia. So a little bit faster for that number 7 truck. Again, gotta consider the difference in pit strategies, though. Garrett Hess took his tires on lap 64. Kevin took his tires on lap 107. So about almost a 50 lap deficit between these 2 truckers. And it just seems like Garrett Hess has burned all the good off of those tires. So everything he's got left, he's just kind of trying his best to hang on to positions however he can. But Kevin Alessia is closing. And that 7 truck, I mean, if this race stays green, we might potentially see Kevin Alessia get his first podium finish in the ASRC Oval Series. 13 laps left to go. Currently a 0.45 second deficit between the 2 of them. We'll see how the lap times compare between the 2 as we come across the line here again. 17.79 for Hess, 17.78 for Alessia. So now much more similarly matched between the 2. But if they keep going at the paces they're going, I don't think Alessia is going to be able to quite catch up here in this battle. A little bit further back, Jason Gardner, Daniel Sparks duking it out still. Daniel trying to figure out how to make the move work on the high line. Big double high five up in the air from Brian the Flagman, by the way, for Brian Zabelski. 10 laps left to go here at the Five Flags Speedway. 5 more miles before we crown a race winner. 5 more miles before we crown a season champion here tonight. And the gap is closing between Hess and Alessia with 9 to go. Down to 0.3 of a second. Make that 0.2 of a second as Hess has a little bit of a slip up there. But will it be enough for Alessia to catch up here? Now down to 0.2 of a second with 8 laps left to go. Hess is just trying to hang on with whatever rubber he has left on those tires, and that is not a lot. 7 laps left to go here. Our leader is sailing away. Our second place driver is sailing away. It's all about the drama and the battle for third. Alessia down the inside. Hess up on the high line. Not able to make it stick though. Alessia still holding it down to the bottom the best he can. Hess just kind of running the best he can here. 6 to go now here. Not a lot of time left in this battle for the final podium position here. Kevin still trying to make the bottom line work, but he's just not quite able to catch up to Garrett Hess here. High five up in the air from the Barney the Flagman, though. 5 laps left to go before we put a cork on this thing. Put a cork on season number 18 at that. And get ready for season number 19 in the ARCA car. Full-length ARCA races awaiting all of these truckers. And tonight is just a taste of what that format's going to end up being like for them. Kevin gives a tiny little bit of a nudge to Garrett Hess. That's going to push him up the track just a bit. Now side by side between the two of them with 3 laps left to go. Kevin gets the nose just ahead, but he gets a little bit of a wiggle coming out of turn number 4. Still side by side between the two of them. It is anyone's game in this battle for third. Now he gets a little bit of an advantage, but again, just scrubbing off that speed on corner exit with 2 laps left to go. I think it's going to be anyone's game here in this battle for third. Sabelski has pulled away to a 2-second lead. White flag up the air. Doesn't matter if there's a wreck now. This race will end at the end of the next lap. And big wiggle for Hess. Still side by side for the two of them. Checkered flag up in the air, though, coming through the corner. It's going to be Sabelski taking home the race win. Joshua Rudolph back in second. Still watching this battle between Alessia and Hess for third. Kevin Alessia, rookie driver, gets his first ever podium in the ASRC Oval Series at the end of tonight's event. It's going to be Sabelski taking home race win number 3. I don't know if it's going to be enough for the championship. We will do the math prior to the start of the interviews here. But one way or another, he has the satisfaction of saying he took home another checkered flag in season number 18. And as he does his Polish victory lap, we are going to cut away for just a moment till we get your 3 podium finishers here up in the broadcast booth so we can get some words for their interviews for the end of the season. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to the Five Flag Speedway. 150 laps of competition in the books. Up here in the broadcast booth with me, Mr. Brian Sabelski. He takes home checkered flag number 3 here of the season, but just barely not quite enough to take home the championship for season number 18. Brian, how are you feeling here tonight?
Uh, well, I feel a little bit happy. I kind of knew going in that Garrett had enough points that I wouldn't be able to catch him. So I knew going in that he was first, I was second. We'd probably pretty much lock that up. So all I was thinking tonight was just go win. Just go win one because you can. That's all. Yeah, I think you probably noticed I went in on that first round of stops with everybody else, but I had as I'm going down pit road, I see everybody else kind of going staying out, and I'm like thinking, okay, it's like 95 laps to go. That's pretty far, and so I plan to take tires and like a little bit of fuel to put a little more weight in the car, and just to give myself a cushion to the end in case somehow my fuel calcs are wrong. But I'm sitting there thinking, okay, if we get another caution, everyone who's out there right now is going to be going into pits, and we're going to be sitting ducks. So I changed last minute and just went fuel only on that stop, and it still put me to the back. But I knew I could drive I knew I could get to a position where I would either be just barely on the lead lap, or I'd probably be the first car a lap down. So that was my whole strategy with that. Is just to be in position to get the lucky dog, get in, get the pits going, and then get my tires and whatever we had at the end of the run. I knew we'd be quick enough to chase them down.
Fair enough. Definitely seemed to work out for you here tonight. And of course, next season, heading into the ARCA car, going to be running full-length ARCA races. So the races are going to be a little bit similar to the distance we ran here tonight. Do you think that race strategy is going to be a bigger decider in the winners over raw speed next season?
Yeah, I think so. Just with the way that these things go now, especially after tonight, you kind of saw a little bit of that where the right strategy call of going in at the right time was really important. But yeah, I definitely think that's going to be a thing next season. Arca tires, the wear isn't quite as bad as it was on the old car. It's still a thing. You still have to kind of be mindful of how much you're pushing the tires. And, I assume this week there'll be some updates that handle some of the stuff with the draft and all of that. So there'll be some tweaks and stuff like that. So, we'll have to adjust to that as well. But yeah, I think race strategy is going to be a big thing. Especially if we only get one set of tires. It's when do you want your shiny new tires on these short tracks? That's just such a big part of it.
Definitely seems like we have a lot to be looking forward to next season. Of course, 3 wins to your name here in season number 18, and a lot of podium finishes, even when you didn't get the win. How are you feeling about this season as a whole for your performance, and what sort of goals have you set for yourself for season number 19?
A lot of what could have been, to be quite honest. We had a couple that came to us. We had a couple more than we got back that were taken just from late cautions and stuff like that. That happens. That's the nature of all this. Is sometimes you get a good caution, or sometimes you get a good run and you get a late caution and you're kind of a sitting duck, and that's just the way these things happen. I think I had a couple more races where I could have some better finishes and whatnot. But hey, it is what it is, and we'll be back next season to see what we can do in the ARCA car. We've been, as long as I haven't been getting run over in officials, I've been doing pretty well. So I have some confidence that I've kind of started to figure out the new car, especially with some of the dynamics, how it drives to the next gen.
Good deal. I definitely look forward to seeing you out there this season. But of course, for tonight, you got another win to your name. That's another checkered flag added to your collection. So before I keep you here all evening, I will let you go ahead and go and celebrate it. But for now, the microphone is all yours. Who you want to thank for making it happen here this season?
Well, I guess for tonight, I can say thank you to the. I don't know if it was the water or something like, because I was just in Northwest Florida a couple days ago, actually. I don't know if it was like the magic water or something there that I drank and somehow makes me good at Five Flags because it's in Pensacola. If it was, I guess thanks. Probably not, but gotta have a choke here. But yeah, thanks to of course McCartney Setup Shop, the official setup shop of the NASCAR. Great to be part of that team and have been part of that roster for a while now. Always good to bring them home another W. Of course, some racing products. Put together the awesome button box that you may have seen on my stream, and sometimes you may notice that I use for fuel saving. I use it quite a bit. It's pretty sturdy. It's been very dependable, and Garrett and Jeremy do a awesome job with these builds. So yeah, definitely thankful for them. And should I need one in the future, I'll probably be chatting them up real quick here. Of course, Garrett and Josh and Jason, everybody here, ASRC, for coming out and being part of this. Glad to have y'all here. It's always good to have a bunch of people to run against, that and you can trust to do a good job. And yeah, these guys do a good job. And of course, Jason for doing all the hard work with organizing everything too. That's not easy. Everyone on Twitch, hi everyone on Twitch. Everyone on Aiden's stream, hi everyone on Aiden's stream. Of course, Aiden as well. Thank you for taking your time out of your evenings to broadcast this. I know we couldn't have really done that part without you, and we appreciate it a ton.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on win number 3 to your name, and I look forward to seeing you in season number 19.
Thank you.
And finishing back in position number 2 here, finished where he qualified in that 188 machine. It's going to be none other than Mr. Joshua Rudolph. How are you feeling here tonight?
I'm feeling electrifying, fantastic here tonight. It feels good to be back up here and thrilled, and good win again to Brian.
Did you come into tonight's event expecting to be fighting for the race lead that parts of it?
No. Did a couple test sessions, and every single time within 5-10 laps, I just sit there wrecking. I'm like, this is so sketchy. This is way rough, and practice was on edge, borderline, just wicked, and then I kind of found a little bit of something, and then we went to nighttime, and the track got a little bit more sturdy, and these boys put me to work tonight. A lot of good battles, a lot of fun racing.
What do you think might have had to have gone differently here this evening for you to be taking home that checkered flag?
Brian, you go take tires when you come down pit road first time, and then when that caution that people take tires on, I'm gonna stay out. I'm gonna play the long game and get the bonus point for leading the lap. And when you don't have the speed to get the short run, to match the long run, to play the leader, to race with the leader on these long runs, you've got to do something different. So with the points battle with Jason, with the speed being off, everybody in front comes down. I'm gonna stay out, and then we catch the break with the caution. It's big to keep the track position on pit road. No black flags, and now we restart freshest set of tires. And I've got to be calm because at Bristol, we watched me be a rookie with an opportunity with fresher tire towards the end.
Fair enough. Definitely a very solid performance here for you tonight. Of course, coming home in 5th in the championship point standing, so you did get around Jason Gardner here for season number 18. How did you feel about your season as a whole, and how are you feeling about heading into season number 19 in the ARCA car?
This season is a lot of ups and downs. We have speed, in a sense. We have good strategy calls. We put myself in this position of having opportunities. Iowa, just don't get the last caution, but I don't come in with the boys to go get this set of tires last. Dega, run up front with the pack. It's restrictor plate racing, but we get back to the lead and then Hess throws the block like he should, and I don't capitalize on that. Bristol was a big rookie there at the end, cost me there, and tonight just put it all together to stay up front ish, take advantage of what opportunity was given, and then don't overdrive it, and then get passed by Brian, which was kind of expected. But knowing if I could get through traffic and be ahead, maybe I can park it for 20 laps. Not in front of them and brake check them, but park it as in roll the bottom. And now you got to roll the top. And happy with the second. Feels good. It's been a whole season since we've been back on podium. ARCA cars, it's probably going to be pretty rough. ARCA cars, I can't figure it out right now. And when I run with Hess and others in another league, I literally am 2 to 3 tenths off a lap. So we've got to figure some stuff out. Stricter plate racing, hopefully we do a better job, and hopefully we figure something out. And here at K9P Racing, we go get some really great results.
Good deal. Definitely look forward to seeing y'all out there in season number 19. But of course, for tonight, you got a podium finish to your name, so I won't keep you here all evening. I know you want to go celebrate it. So the microphone is all yours, Mr. Rudolph. Who you want to thank for making it happen?
Feels good to be back here on the podium. Thank you to you for broadcasting. Thank you for the boys here in the league, Jason and other admins, to put this on, get us organized. And we got to thank the teammates here at K9P Racing. John, you came on board. You run with us, and you've improved. And Mark, thank you, and thank you, and thank you for all the inputs and the other leagues and all the greatness. And then we can't forget about the sponsors, K9P Racing and R3P for the hobby, Joe Getty, and also tonight we put Rowdy on the car, so it feels pretty good to run some different paints and look good and pull off something here and there. And again, thanks for all the support from friends and family for watching, all the teammate help, all the friends help, and all the advice everybody gives. So hopefully we put her back in the podium. If not, get off the sign, get to victory next season.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on the podium finish, and I look forward to seeing you in season number 19.
Thank you.
And finishing back in third here in the Save RC's Foundation number 7, rookie driver Kevin Alessia. It only took him a single season to make it happen, but he did make it up into the podium. Kevin, how are you feeling here tonight?
Ecstatic, kind of speechless because I wasn't really expecting to get a podium here on this track, considering how challenging it was to get a hang of it. But I have no words. I'm like, it was a good fight with Carrot Hess, to get that podium. I was really gunning for it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed to work out for you here tonight. Of course, you came in to the league. You did one race at the very, very end of season number 17. So for all intents and purposes, you basically started the league at the very beginning of this season. How do you feel that running against these longtime veterans for the past 12 weeks has helped you as a driver? And how do you feel about your season as a whole?
It was a rough beginning, getting used to, racing against drivers with more experience, and it was fun to learn how others drive and how they manage their cars and strategies going into these different tracks. Did a lot of like kind of watching them, asking questions, see what everybody's doing, to then kind of implement those things that I've learned from everyone, and everyone's given me a little bit of help in one way or the other. So it's been a blast learning to run with these guys, because I have so much to learn, and learning from people with a lot of experience is always a good thing.
Yeah, definitely been great to see you out on track here this season. Of course, we are going to be throwing the truck out and switching to a brand new car next season, so that'll be a little bit of a curveball. But looking back at this season, 2 top 5s to your name and an 8th place finish in the championship point standings. How do you feel about your results this season, and what sort of goals do you have for yourself for season 19?
Well, I'm happy with the results that I've gotten, considering that I start late, like, further back in the grid, but I maintain positions and um just I'm happy with the results because I reached my goal that I wanted to do this season, which was get a podium finish. And now next season I'll try to aim for either second or first if I can learn the car fast enough.
Good deal. I definitely look forward to seeing you out there in the ARCA car next season. Of course, for tonight, though, you got your first podium, like you said. That was kind of what your goal was here for this season. So I know you want to go and celebrate. So I won't keep you here all night. But the microphone is all yours, Mr. Alicia. Who you want to thank for making things happen?
First I want to thank my wife. She has been super supportive of me and doing these races, getting every which way that I can um get these races going for me, and she's always been there supporting me. So I'm I'm an emotional wreck. It's funny, but yeah, she's always been supportive, and I appreciate her so much for all the support she gives me. But you as well and the team, everybody here is just like it's. I have to thank everybody for coming out and racing because I can't do this without all these people being here and you broadcasting and you inviting me to this league. It's been such a blast, and I can't thank you guys enough for everything. And I look forward to being here with you guys and racing along with you.
Good deal. Well, congratulations on the podium here tonight, and I look forward to seeing you in season number 19.
All right, thank you.
And finishing back here in the fourth position on the track. Obviously, we don't normally interview the fourth place finisher, but he has a grand total of 5 wins to his name and 192 points, so we can't really scoff at that. Mr. Garrett Hess, you're once again a champion here in the ASRC Oval Series. How are you feeling here tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. I had a pretty fun race and a pretty fun season overall.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how dominant you were in the mini stocks last season, and it definitely seemed like a lot of that dominance carried over on here into the trucks. Do you think that it'll still keep going when we switch to the ARCA car?
Uh, Depends on how it goes with this next update. I mean, with how it is as I'm speaking, it's a draft monster where everyone's all bunched up. So hopefully, with the short tracks and hopefully an update to the drafting on the ARCA cars, it'll be more driver dependent instead of draft dependent. But I'm looking forward to the ARCA cars. I've enjoyed racing officials in them. I've gotten a couple wins, so I'm relatively confident in my ability in them. But it really just depends on what iRacing does to the car over the next couple weeks until the next ASRC season starts when we go to the ARCA cars.
Yeah, definitely curious to see how it will play out. I still haven't driven it myself, so I mean that's kind of my own fault. I'm the broadcaster. You don't make me drive the cars, so that's fine. But of course, looking back on your season, 5 wins to your name, 10 top fives. How are you feeling about your season's performance, and what sort of goals do you have set for yourself heading into season 19?
Um, I thought I did pretty good considering the truck isn't my car of choice when it comes to ovals. Brian made a joke about it in the interview booth, but I personally consider myself very inconsistent in the truck. It's either something I can rip or spin around in. But I thought it was a pretty good season. It didn't feel like I won 5 times. It felt a lot more like I won like twice. But I'm just happy. I'm just happy. I really wanted to win this race to cap off this season, but took tires a little too early. Uh, and then that caution came out when I didn't need it to, and had a great battle with Kevin all the way to the end. I knew he was probably fighting for his first podium, so I want him to really earn it. So I gave him hell the last 5 laps, and then he just eventually used his tires to get around me. But so it's always fun driving with these group of guys. So I'm looking forward to next season.
Yeah, I for sure definitely look forward to seeing you out there for season number 19. Of course, you said it yourself, pit strategy didn't quite go the way you were hoping for here tonight. Do you think if the race stayed green after that first stop where you took your tires, do you think you would have been taking home the checkered flag tonight?
Yeah, considering that most of the field for that lap, 60 or 70 caution didn't, except for me, Daniel, and Corey. Uh, we were the only 3 to take tires, and I was about 2 or 3 seconds ahead of Daniel Sparks before that caution came out, and I was really close to lapping Brian, who eventually won the race. My plan was to get to Brian as soon as possible and try to keep him a lap down, and hopefully have someone in front of him to trap him a lap down, uh, so I could stay out. But it just doesn't play out like that sometimes. Not everything can go your way, so I'm just happy I finished the race pretty cleanly.
Yeah, sure enough. And of course, hindsight's 2020. Racing is always the game of what ifs. But it's been a very solid season for you here in season number 18. So I won't keep you here all night. You got another championship to your name to go and celebrate. But for now, the microphone's all yours. Who you want to thank for making everything happen this season?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone who's racing ASRC this season. I want to thank you for putting on all the broadcasts. Want to thank Jason for running the show. Want to thank everyone in Marca who raced during the good races before that league went down the drain. But besides that, thanks to everyone at Team Watson Racing. Great group of guys over there. Team Watson Racing setups, you know the whole drill when I do interviews. Setups for pretty much any car. I want to thank my brother for giving me something to wake up to in the morning. And that's about it, really.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on taking home the championship for season number 18. And I look forward to seeing you out there in that ARCA car in season number 19.
Yes, sir. I'll see you then.
You heard it here first, race fans. Your top 3 finishers here tonight, plus your league champion for season number 18 as well. What a heck of a season it has been here for these drivers. But of course, those weren't the only 3 drivers here in tonight's race. So how about we take a look down at our race results as they run. Of course, these aren't necessarily official, but it was a pretty clean race here tonight. So I really don't think we're going to be seeing any sort of penalties. Of course, Sabelski, Rudolph, and Kevin Alicia were your top 3 finishers here tonight. Garrett Hess brings it on home 4th and takes home the championship of season number 18. Then back in 5th, it's going to be the 13 Dirt TV entry of Johnny Bell running out the top 5. Back in 6th, it's going to be the number 93 of Mr. Jason Gardner, with Daniel Sparks in the 4 machine back in 7th. Corey Logan in that C0 Robotics number 24 back in 8th, with the 712 of John Atkins rounding out the 9th position, and the 78 of Derek Murphy finishing off your top 10. Then back in 11th, it's going to be the 27 of Mark Kluge, with the 42 of Michael Sparks rounding out the tail end of the field back in the 12th position. That said, that's just about all we've got here from the Five Flag Speedway. That's going to put a cap on the end of season number 18 of ASRC Oval Series competition. It has been a blast watching these drivers compete here in these NASCAR trucks. In a way, it's going to be a shame to see them go away, but of course, in 2 weeks' time, we will be bringing out season number 19 in the brand new ARCA cars, so that is bound to be a fun one. And again, going to be running full-length ARCA races, so going to be roughly around the length that we saw here for tonight's event all throughout the entire schedule. It's bound to be a fun one. Of course, to anyone interested in joining the league, be sure to just apply on iRacing and join the Discord. Links to those should be down in the description of this stream below. We are always interested in accepting new drivers into the league, and the only requirement is to be clean and respectful out on the racetrack. That said, that's just about all we got here from the Five Flag Speedway. Thank you all for tuning in here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in into season number 18. And we look forward to seeing y'all next time.